24 hours of electric burning agony that peaks in the first second and refuses to let up. A sting so severe that the scientist who documented it officially recommends you lie down and start screaming, because there is nothing else productive you can do. A jellyfish the size of your thumbnail whose victims beg doctors to let them die. None of this is exaggeration. All of it is medically documented, formally ranked, and sitting somewhere on today's list of the 20 worst pains a human being can experience. And the entry at number 1? It isn't the worst because of biology. It's the worst because of what human beings decided to do once they found out about it. So grab something to hold on to because we're counting down, and the stub toe you had this morning is absolutely not making this list. Kicking off at number 20, dry socket. You had a tooth pulled, you followed the rules, you were careful, and then the blood clot protecting your exposed jaw nerve just dissolved anyway, because your body doesn't care about your effort. What's left is a raw nerve open to air, and the kind of throbbing, radiating pain that climbs from your jaw into your ear, your eye, your entire skull, and simply refuses to leave. The only reliable fix involves a dentist packing the socket with medicated gauze, which is exactly as fun as it sounds. Number 19, corneal abrasion. A piece of grit, a rogue eyelash, or your own careless finger grazes the surface of your eyeball. You blink a few times, assume it'll sort itself out, and then your eye completely falls apart. The cornea is one of the most nerve-dense surfaces in the entire human body, which means a scratch invisible to the naked eye still registers in your brain as a full-scale emergency. Sufferers describe it as a permanent shard of broken glass lodged under the eyelid that no amount of blinking, rubbing, or crying will dislodge. And here is the genuinely cruel part. Blinking, the thing your body does automatically about 20,000 times a day, makes everything worse every single time. Some people end up in the emergency room over a scratch you would need a microscope to find. Your eye is, without question, the most dramatic organ you own. Number 18, gout. Picture yourself relaxing at home when you notice your big toe feels a little warm. An hour later, the pain kicks in and you realize something has gone seriously wrong. Gout is a form of arthritis caused by uric acid crystals forming in your joints. And if that phrase doesn't already sound alarming enough, those crystals are shaped like tiny microscopic needles. Thousands of them. Inside your joint. An active gout attack feels like someone continuously stabbing the joint with a hot needle while simultaneously trying to snap the bone. Even the weight of a bedsheet can be unbearable. The attack lasts for days, and during that time, putting on a shoe feels roughly as achievable as running a marathon. Gout has been called the disease of kings. Very fancy suffering. Number 17, shingles. You had chicken pox as a kid. Your immune system handled it, filed it away, and everyone moved on. What nobody warned you about is that the virus never actually left. It went dormant inside your nerve tissue, quietly waiting. Decades later, when your immune system gets stressed, the virus wakes back up and travels along a nerve pathway to your skin. The result is a painful rash that follows the exact path of that nerve, usually wrapping around one side of your torso or face like a belt of pure misery. Patients describe constant burning, stabbing, electric agony that never fully turns off. For some unlucky people, even after the rash clears, the nerve pain sticks around for months or years. Doctors call that postherpetic neuralgia, which is a clinical way of saying your nerves are still furious and intend to keep reminding you. Number 16, the tarantula hawk wasp sting. The name alone should be a warning. The tarantula hawk is a wasp large enough to hunt, paralyze, and drag away actual tarantulas to use as live food storage for its larvae. So when the thing that does that for fun stings you, your day is about to restructure itself. Entomologist Justin Schmidt, the man who built the Schmidt Sting Pain Index by professionally letting insects sting him, and yes, that was a real job, rated the tarantula hawk a 4 out of 4. His official recommendation? Lie down and start screaming, because there is nothing productive you can do for the next 3 minutes. Survivors describe pain so overwhelming it instantly shuts down rational thought. The mild good news is that the intense phase fades after about 5 minutes. What replaces it is a deep, aching misery. Progress. And if you're already uncomfortable watching this, fair warning. We haven't even hit the top 15 yet. Number 15, second-degree burns. You reach past a hot pan on the stove. Your hand grazes the side for maybe half a second, and then the burn registers. Second-degree burns go past the outer layer of skin, down into the dermis, which is where your nerve endings live, and those nerve endings are not going to let you forget it. The pain is immediate, intense, and relentless. A deep, throbbing, searing sensation that gets worse the moment anything touches it. Air hurts. Water hurts. Sunlight hurts. The idea of someone looking at it too closely starts to feel like a personal threat. Blisters form, the skin weeps, and healing takes weeks of careful wound management to avoid infection. Burn survivors say the ongoing care, cleaning, and redressing the wound is nearly as painful as the original burn. Half a second of carelessness. Weeks of very slow consequences. The stove did not care about you. It never did. Number 14, a broken rib. You would think breaking a bone would hurt intensely at first, and then settle into a manageable dull ache. Broken ribs are not like that. Every single breath you take moves your rib cage, which means every inhale is a sharp reminder. Every exhale is a reminder. Coughing is a significant event. Sneezing becomes a personal crisis. Laughing is something that happens to other people now. Sufferers describe it not as one sharp pain, but as a constant, inescapable presence that follows every movement and quietly punishes every breath. Sleeping is nearly impossible because no position exists that doesn't put pressure on the injury. You will develop strong opinions about mattresses. Doctors cannot cast ribs, so the treatment plan is essentially wait, breathe carefully, and take painkillers that only slightly dull the edge. You are along for the ride. A 6 to 8 week ride, no shortcuts. Number 13, cluster headaches. Imagine the worst headache you have ever had in your life. Now multiply that by 100, concentrate it entirely behind one eye, and schedule it to show up every single day for weeks at a time with no warning. That is a cluster headache. Sufferers describe the pain as a hot poker being rammed directly through the eye socket, or a serrated knife methodically working its way through one side of the skull. Others say it feels like their eye is actively trying to escape through the back of their head. During an attack, people cannot sit still. They pace, bang their heads against walls, and sometimes scream from pain they have no mechanism to manage. The brutally unfair part is the pattern. Attacks arrive daily for weeks, vanish completely without explanation, and then return just when you were starting to feel like a person again. No announcement, no mercy. Same eye. Every single time. Number 12, passing a kidney stone. You are going about your day when a dull ache starts in your lower back. You figure you probably slept at a weird angle. Then the pain starts to move, and the moment it moves, you know this is not a muscle problem. A kidney stone is a hard mineral deposit that forms inside your kidney and then decides to travel. Down through your ureter, into your bladder, and eventually out through plumbing that was simply not designed for solid cargo. As it moves, the pain escalates from a manageable ache into a full-body crisis arriving in waves, with no comfortable position, no relief, and no option but to wait. People who have both given birth and passed a kidney stone have said the stone was worse. At least they note, one of those experiences produces something you actually wanted to have in the first place. Number 11, the irukandji jellyfish. I know what you're thinking. A jellyfish? That's what made it this far up the list? I wish this was an overstatement, but the irukandji is a genuinely different situation. It is roughly the size of a human thumbnail, nearly invisible in open water, and when it stings you, the initial sensation is so mild you barely register it happened. Then 20 to 40 minutes later, your body begins to fall apart in a very specific, systematic way. The venom triggers a syndrome that includes full-body muscle cramps, crushing abdominal and chest pain, dangerous spikes in blood pressure, and a clinical symptom doctors formally describe as a sense of impending doom. Not anxiety. Physiological, absolute certainty that you are dying right now. Victims have been documented begging hospital staff to end their suffering by any means available. All of that from something that fits comfortably under your fingernail. We are now officially past the halfway point. And from here, things stop being unpleasant and start being genuinely horrifying. Number 10, trigeminal neuralgia. The trigeminal nerve runs across your face and manages sensation in your cheek, jaw, teeth, gums, and lips. When this nerve starts misfiring, usually because a blood vessel is pressing against it and slowly wearing away its protective sheath, it sends an electric shock signal so severe and so untreatable that the medical community literally calls it the suicide disease. Attacks arrive without warning and are triggered by the most ordinary experiences imaginable. A light breeze on your cheek, chewing, speaking, smiling, brushing your teeth. The pain is described as a lightning bolt detonating inside your face, lasting seconds to several minutes, and repeating dozens of times in a single day. People with trigeminal neuralgia stop eating, stop going outside, and sometimes stop speaking altogether, because any facial sensation at all can trigger another attack. The nerve responsible for telling your brain your face exists becomes the most threatening part of your entire body. Number 9. Complex regional pain syndrome. Imagine you twist your ankle. Minor injury, standard recovery, nothing serious. But instead of healing, your nervous system interprets that minor event as a permanent catastrophe and refuses to stop responding to it. CRPS is a chronic condition where the nervous system produces intense, continuous burning pain in a limb completely out of proportion to any actual damage. The affected area becomes hypersensitive. Light touch feels like open flame. A breeze feels like a physical blow. Clothing resting against the skin becomes unbearable. From the outside, nothing looks wrong, which means sufferers are frequently told they're exaggerating. They are absolutely not. The nervous system is genuinely misfiring and producing real, documented, measurable pain with no reliable treatment and no cure. CRPS simply moves into the affected limb and informs the nervous system that this new arrangement is now permanent. Number 8, the stonefish sting. You are wading through shallow coastal water or picking your way along a reef when you step on what appears to be an ordinary, unremarkable rock. It is not a rock. The stonefish is the most venomous fish on the planet, and it has dedicated its entire existence to looking like nothing worth being cautious around. The moment its dorsal spines puncture your foot, venom travels directly into the tissue, and the pain begins escalating immediately. Survivors describe their foot being simultaneously crushed, burned, and electrocuted, all three at once, continuously, intensifying over the first hour with no position that helps. Some victims have arrived at emergency rooms and begged doctors to amputate the foot on the spot, arguing plainly that living with one foot is a perfectly reasonable outcome compared to whatever this is. The recommended treatment is hot water. Getting yourself to hot water while your foot is currently doing all of that is, by every account, genuinely difficult. Number 7, fibromyalgia. Imagine waking up every morning already exhausted, your entire body aching like you spent the night absorbing a sustained and thorough beating. Fibromyalgia is a chronic pain condition that produces widespread suffering with no visible cause, no cure, and no predictable endpoint. From the outside, you look completely fine, which means a significant portion of your life becomes spent convincing the people around you that what you are experiencing is real. Sufferers describe it as a permanent sunburn located beneath the skin rather than on top of it, where even a light touch or the wrong fabric against your arm registers as sharp electric pain. It also arrives packaged with fatigue, brain fog, and mood disruption, like having a hangover and the flu simultaneously, every day, indefinitely. It simply becomes the background of everything. Number 6. The Gympie tree. You are hiking through the Australian rainforest when you brush your arm against what appears to be a harmless broadleafed plant. Then, your arm starts reporting a catastrophe. The Gympie is covered in microscopic silica needles, packed with a potent neurotoxin that injects on contact, causing immediate burning, electric agony described as being stung, scalded, and shocked all at once. And that's just the opening. The toxin does not fully clear. Documented encounters have produced pain returning in waves for months, with some cases causing persistent sensitivity for up to 2 full years after a single brief moment of contact. Researchers who study the plant reportedly refuse to work near it without full protective equipment, which stands as one of the more reasonable professional decisions in the history of botany. Number 5. Acute pancreatitis. Your pancreas sits quietly behind your stomach doing essential enzymatic work you never think about until the day it suddenly becomes inflamed. Acute pancreatitis causes intense abdominal pain radiating straight through to your back, arriving in waves so severe that no position provides any relief. Lying down makes it worse. Sitting makes it worse. Eating makes it dramatically worse. The digestive enzymes your pancreas produces begin dissolving the organ from the inside, and the pain accurately reflects that developing situation. Victims describe a constant crushing, burning pressure, like something inside the abdomen is being methodically destroyed. Because it is. Treatment is largely nothing by mouth, IV fluids, and waiting while your body decides which direction this particular situation is headed. Number 4, tetanus. You know how people periodically mention keeping your tetanus shot current, and you mentally file that away and never actually follow through? There is a very real reason for that reminder. Tetanus enters through a wound, a rusty nail, a garden tool, any skin break, and then quietly attacks your central nervous system. It begins with jaw stiffness, which sounds manageable, until spasms start spreading to your neck, back, abdomen, and limbs. Eventually, the entire body locks rigid, every muscle firing in prolonged, uncontrolled contractions simultaneously. Sufferers describe their entire musculature staging a full coordinated revolt against them. The spasms can be severe enough to fracture vertebrae. Let me say that one more time. Severe enough to break your own spine. Update your tetanus shot this week. Number 3, the executioner wasp. The name is not marketing. This large insect from Central and South America delivers a sting researchers have documented at the very top of the pain index. Victims describe it as being struck by a freight train in one very specific and concentrated location, with the impact radiating outward and refusing to stop. Aftermath includes fever, sweating, nausea, and vomiting. The full systemic response. The executioner wasp also paralyzes other insects, deposits its eggs inside them alive, and allows its larvae to consume the host from the inside outward. It has essentially engineered maximum pain as a dedicated biological tool. Observe from a considerable distance. Number 2, the bullet ant sting. The bullet ant earns its name from consistent survivor testimony. People who have experienced both a bullet ant sting and an actual gunshot wound report the two are genuinely difficult to tell apart. The venom contains a neurotoxin called ponerotoxin that overrides normal pain signaling and produces sustained, unrelenting, electric burning agony. The pain peaks immediately and holds at full intensity for up to 24 hours with no reduction whatsoever. No tapering, no adjustment. Justin Schmidt, the same entomologist from earlier, awarded the bullet ant his maximum score on the pain index. He described it as waves of burning, throbbing, all-consuming pain, like walking across hot coals with a 3-inch nail embedded in your heel, for 24 hours. And that is what the bullet ant does to you by accident. On purpose, humans have figured out how to make it so much worse, which brings us to number 1. Also, somehow the bullet ant. Specifically, because of what human beings decided to do once they had that information. The Satere Mawe people of the Brazilian Amazon have built the bullet ant into a coming-of-age ritual for young men that takes some genuine explaining. Hundreds of live bullet ants are woven into gloves, stingers facing inward toward the wearer's skin. Initiates must keep the gloves on for 10 uninterrupted minutes while the ants sting continuously. There is screaming. There is uncontrolled shaking the body cannot suppress. There is temporary paralysis of the hands and arms that persists for hours after the gloves finally come off. And then here is the part that deserves a real moment of silence. The young men do not do this once. They do it 20 times, 20 separate sessions, each one fully anticipated in advance, each one voluntarily and deliberately accepted. They know exactly what is inside those gloves. They have felt it before. They put them on anyway. Every single time. That is number one on this list. Not the biology, not the neurotoxin, not the 24 documented hours of maximum rated agony. Just the simple fact that somewhere on this planet, human beings discovered the most painful sting in recorded existence and turned it into a test you have to pass 20 separate times. So, how is your day going now? If your worst problem this morning was a stubbed toe, I'd say you had a pretty good one. If you made it to the end of this list without wincing, you are braver than the algorithm expected, and I think you can probably handle the next video on screen right now. Tap it. I'll see you there.